Image is king. It can feel a little bit like our lives today are ruled by a question of our own image, of how we are presented to the world around us. There's a pressure for us to make sure that we're fitting in, that we're looking the right way, that we're doing the right things, that we're buying the right stuff to keep up with everyone else. And part of that is a very human thing. Like, we want to fit in. It's almost tribalistic in its nature. You want to fit in with those around you to make sure that you're looking the right way, that you're fitting in with the tribe around you. But it can feel a bit like in today's society that we've somehow taken that to the extreme. The pressure can be unreal for young and old alike to make sure that we are presenting ourselves in an appropriate way to the world around us. And I think part of that is maybe due to the bombardment of advertisements all over the place, from film and cinema to TV to particularly social media, where we're constantly being told this is the thing you need to buy or get that will make you look the right way and just make you perfectly beautiful to the world, or this is the thing that will transform your life and just make you have final peace that you're seeking. When in reality, it's just companies wanting our money. I mean, social media in general is built on a principle, a very simple one. Keep people scrolling, keep their attention fixed on Facebook or whatever for as long as possible, so that they see as many advertisements as possible. That's how companies like Facebook make their money. Your attention, and your attention seeing as many adverts as possible. Adverts which then tell you about the image that the world thinks you should have and be and present. And I know it's easy and all that to feel a little bit overwhelmed, to feel anxious or stressed, to get consumed by all of this. How much time do we each spend preening ourselves, making sure that our image is presented as it should be, or as we think it should be, to the world around us? In Christ, we see a different image, and we are invited to a different perspective on priority and how we see our own image in this world. Paul touches on it in the book of Colossians in a beautiful poem, which I'm going to read for you now. The Son is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn over all creation. For in him all things were created, things in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or powers or rulers or authorities. All things have been created through him and for him. He is before all things, and in him all things hold together. And he is the head of the body, the church. He is the beginning and the firstborn among the dead, so that in everything he might have supremacy. For God was pleased to have all his fullness dwell in him, and through him to reconcile himself all things, whether things on earth or things in heaven, by making peace through his blood shed on the cross. Christ is the image of the invisible God. That can seem like a dramatic statement, but at its heart, it's quite simple. Look at Jesus, and you see what God is like. God can feel like a concept a bit too big to get our heads around, this all-seeing, all-knowing being who is enacting justice and creativity and love on the whole universe. For our simple mortal minds, that's a lot to take in. But everything that we need to know about God, all of the truths of who he is, we find in Jesus, in who he was and how he lived. The truth of God revealed in him, the fullness of God dwelling in him, for he is God. But he is also fully human. In Jesus, we see a picture, an image of what we can be like, an image to aspire to, not one sold to us by companies interested in our money, by the social pressures of those round about us, but by one who truly has our best interests at heart, the best interests of all humanity at heart. And he calls us to look on him, to see his life, how he lived, to hear of his gospel, and reflect that in our own lives. That would be the image that we aspire to. Not one sold to us by others, but rather one given to us by Jesus. The perfect image of God and humanity at one. Of love, of peace, of hope, of justice. So I encourage you today, particularly if you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed by the pressures of the world around about us to present a certain image, look to the image of Jesus. In him we see a picture of who we can be and who we should be, of what humanity is called to, not one sold to us by others, but rather one given to us by the living God, who cares deeply for each and every one of us. Look to his image. Ask yourself how best you reflect him in your everyday lives. How we can better show that love, that care, that compassion, that justice to those around us, and affirm in them the best of who we can be and should be.